remember being about 8 years old, and I'm at my family dinner table. And for the first time, I'm staring at the craziness that is my family. I'm starting to get old enough, like, is this normal? Like, people laugh, then they'll get angry, and my dad will be like, did he say what? My dad's laughing, then he pushes away from the table. I got algebra, babe, make the kids shut up. And she was like, you were just laughing 2 seconds ago. Fine, I'm not gonna eat. And I'm like, what's going on with this house? These people are crazy. So I'm staring at my family, and I felt this voice, like this calmness come over me. And I think the voice was God. I'm not telling anybody what to believe. As if you believe in God, then this was God. If you believe in energy and the universe or whatever, then energy told me this. If you believe in nothing, then fucking nothing told me this, okay? So I'm 8 years old, and I'm watching all this, and I just have this feeling, this voice tells me, remember this for when you get sad. And I'm like, get sad? I'm 8, bro. Friday's pizza day, we got a field trip on Tuesday. Oh, life is good when you're a kid. Right? Life is good when you're a kid. But then I became a grown-up and I was sad all the time. I was. And then I was like, you know what'll solve this? I'm gonna move to Los Angeles. Right? I was like, I have to prove to the world I'm special. So then I moved here and I was like suicidal for a while. So I wish that was a joke. So I've been doing comedy for a while. I was about 10 years into it. And I had the type of act that was like fun, like people would like it. But it didn't really come from an honest place. You ever watch comedy sometimes and you kind of tell the comedian's lying? When they're like, you know, my girlfriend sure is crazy. And the audience is like, I bet she is. He's gonna tell us. So that's kind of like when I would walk out on stage like all high energy, like, who's wasted? And the audience would be like, we are. And I'd be like, me too. Look how small my wiener is. And they'd be like, oh my God, this guy's great. I'm so embarrassed now. But the thing was, no matter how well I did, nobody would remember it. Like, there were times I remember once getting a standing ovation, then like, after the show, I was like, people are gonna wanna hang out with me. And they were like, they didn't even remember my name. They were just like, oh, that one guy was all right. And I'm like, okay. So, I guess I was about 10 years in, I started to switch up my style comedy a little bit. I started, because I was so sad, thinking back to my childhood made me happy because I really couldn't see too much happiness in the now. So I had to look at how happy I was yesterday. And something cool started to happen. I started to, retrain my brain. Like if you could see something awesome when you were 8, if you have those memories, look for something awesome now. So I started to tell those stories on stage just because they made me feel good. But then it started to make audiences feel good. And people would relate to it. It was the craziest thing. People I didn't think would. Like, everybody's got crazy stories. Like somebody be waiting for me after a show, and they'd want to tell me, like, dude, one time we had my brother tied up. We're pouring gasoline on him as soon as my dad comes in. It was fucking awesome. Like, everybody had these crazy stories. Like, I remember, like, once, like, kids, like 17 years old, are like, you remember this? I'm like, no, I'm old, dude. They were like, but it was awesome. I remember being like in Afghanistan, and these guys I thought were the Sons of Anarchy. They were special forces guys. They were like, you were awesome. And they wanted to tell stories. Once I was in Santa Monica, there was this man that was so old. He came out of the crowd. I thought he was like a time traveler or an angel. He was like, you were wonderful. I thought he was gonna give me like a magic power or something. So anyway, about 5 years ago, maybe 6, there was a hot summer night. It was a night just like tonight in the Comedy Store down on the Sunset Strip. And comedy wasn't cool then. We only had about 30 people in the room. And out of those 30 people, 4 of them were gangbangers. Yeah, real gangbangers. Not like the fake guys that are like trying to look tough for girls or sell drugs and intimidate people. Like, no. The real deal. Like the type of guys that generally don't leave their neighborhood and like, yeah, and you'll know where they live when they shoot you, like 4th Street, bitch, like that, you felt it. What I'm saying is some people have to talk about it. No, these guys are about, you feel it. When they walked in the room, they changed the energy. Like if you've ever seen Breaking Bad, the 2 brothers that came over the border, remember the guy and he had his legs chopped off? He's like, you're not stopping me, bitch. Imagine 4 of those guys, 4 killers are walking into the room with tattoos on their faces and their heads, and they're like, let's have a night of laughs on the Sunset Strip. I don't know why they were there, to be honest. I think maybe because one guy got out of jail and they're like, Larry, what do you want to do? I don't know, let's have some laughs, right? So about right there's 4 assassins at a table, and they are a delightful crowd for the first hour of the show. They're having fun, they're clapping, very respectful, but they keep on drinking. And as the drunker they get, a little more out of line they get. And I remember the one guy yells out, he's like, get off the stage, puto, you suck. And the manager hears this, and he goes over hard, and it's dark in there, okay? So the manager hears, get off the stage, puto. The manager goes, excuse me, can I buy you fellas another round of drinks? Holy shit, I'm not getting staffed for $12 an hour, okay? So now So now these guys are getting drunker, nobody's doing anything, okay? So I'm about to go on or whatever. It's like me and 2 other comics, and I remember, I forget who it was. They were like, dude, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna go on? And I'm like, I need the $15, okay? So I'm in my... Dude, it's tough enough for me to go on late at night. All my jokes are about like pizza day and building forts and staying awake to midnight, right? So now I'm like, what am I gonna do with these 4 guys in the crowd that are booing people off the stage? So I just walk up and I'm just like, I start to talk about pizza day. And I'm like, mother effing pizza day. The one dude stands up and he goes, mother effing pizza day! And I'm like, awesome. I'm like, this is great, we're connecting, right? So now everybody's having fun. Like everybody in the crowd's starting to have more fun. And there's something great that can happen only in a live audience where you can sort of create in the moment. And it was magical. And I remember thinking, you know what? You don't need $1 million to create memories. In fact, if you have kids at home tonight, on your way home, stop off, get ice cream, hot fudge, whipped cream, so little sprinkly things. Make sundaes. Make real, legit, rich kid birthday party sundaes. Put them in the kitchen, turn out the light, then go wake your kids up. And they'll be like, what's happening? Is the house on fire? Go, I don't know, buddy. But there's something in the kitchen for you. Walk them into the kitchen, turn on the light, and be like, we got ice cream, bitches! With this, the 4 gang members stand up. They start laughing like it's 1994, and I'm Chris Tucker, the one dude goes, mother effing ice cream! He starts kicking his foot like in Fat Albert when Weird Harold's kicking his foot. Like, you're like, school in the summertime, no class. They start laughing so hard, right? And I'm like, this is awesome. But then they keep on laughing. And around the same time it occurs to me, it occurs to everybody else in the room that that's not a genuine laugh. That that's like a heckle laugh. Like the next generation, like it was around the time when people started to be like, cool story, bro. So now it's palpable. Everybody's like, oh, what's this poor kid gonna do? They're like, haha, very funny, ice cream. Yeah, I'm gonna make sundaes on the way home. At least that's how I'm hearing it in my brain, okay? So I remember right here, there was a couple, and I remember the husband's dragging the wife's hand. He's like, let's get out of here. She goes, we have to pay our check. He's like, fuck it, we don't want to be witnesses. And they just left. That happened. So now I'm scared, okay? The next comedian goes up, and he goes, you gotta get out of here. I'm like, I know, but I gotta walk by their table, because they're in the back of the room. And I'm like, what do I do? Like, if I stare at them and not act afraid, they might think that's aggressive. They might just beat me up for staring at them. But then I'm like, if I look away, they might think I'm a bitch and beat me up on principle. So I'm like, right? So I'm like, what am I gonna do? And I'm thinking, I'm like, you know what? You don't start no shit, won't be no shit. Just hold your head up, mind your business. So I start walking. And I feel boom, boom. As I'm leaving the room, I feel 2 dudes get up, and I'm like, this is not good. And my legs are starting to go weak, okay? I'm like, I'm gonna die. I'm just trying to bring joy into the world for $15. And I'm gonna wind up stabbed 3,000 miles away from my family, right? So I'm like, just get to your car, just get to your car. My car's blocked in, and the whole time I'm hearing, hey bro, hey dude. And now I have nowhere else to go. So I just turn around, he goes, hey dude. And I turn around, and I'm like, he goes, were you the fool that was just on stage? And I went, yeah. And he went, mother effing ice cream! And came over and hugged me, okay? It gets so much better. Because now he's calling for his buddy. He's like, hey, Larry, get over here. He's cool. I told you he'd be cool. Larry, get over here. Now, this guy's name was not Larry, but I'm not sharing with America his real name, okay? Because there could be repercussions. Okay, so this guy, Larry, is menacing. But he's got the energy of a small child because he's afraid to talk to me. He's not even making eye contact. He's just going, bro, you're so funny. I loved it. I needed to hear that, bro. You just made me feel good. Thank you. So now I realize I have to talk to this guy like he's one of my nephews. And I'm like, hey, buddy. I like your shoes. And he's like, they're Nikes. I just got them. I'm like, they're awesome. So now, the first guy on the scene was like, Larry, tell him the joke you wrote him. And I'm like, excuse me? And he's like, no, he'll think it's stupid. And he's like, no, tell him. He wrote you a joke. And I'm like, oh, that's great. And Larry's going, no, he's not going to laugh. I'm like, trust me, dude. I'm going to laugh, regardless of how funny I think this is, right? But honestly, I'm going, what kind of joke could this guy write me? Right? Like, don't you hate it when you're on a drive-by and blood gets everywhere, so you got to take your shirt and burn it? You can't have that DNA around. It's a new shirt, right? So I remember going, dude, what did, he goes, I think you should do a joke about balloons. And I was like, what? He goes, I think you should do a joke about balloons. And I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, you remember when you were little, you had a balloon, you could play with it for hours, like you would hit it once, and then your brother would hit it, and he would hit it, then you would hit it, and he would hit it. But if it hit the ground, it could explode. Okay, so that's when I started to calm down, right? And I'm like, that's a great joke, and I should use it. And I had a sense of peace. First time the whole night, I'm like, I'm gonna be okay. And it's not like I heard a voice. I just got this feeling that I do believe was God again. Because he was like, what did you learn tonight about judging other people? And I'm like, what? And I felt this thing that, I don't know, changed my life. I think as a society, we're really good at judging each other instead of loving each other. And if you look at the world now, never in my life has it been so segmented. Everybody's at each other's throats. Like if you just walk down the street and smile, people are like, look at that prick. I wish he was dead. Everybody's so angry, right? Old people versus young people, rich versus poor, black versus white, gay versus straight. Everybody's judging. When deep inside, we're just little kids that just want to hang out, love, have some laughs. And here's the great thing, the less you judge and the more you love, you'll stop judging yourself and you'll start loving yourself and you'll be a source of that happiness for other people. So that's what I'm here to tell you. Stop judging, start loving. Good night and God bless you.